I was reading your bio, and that you start with media, with the press. How
Uh-huh.
how it was your incursion between press and then make the big step into diplomacy?
Some things are quite similar and some things are very different. I think for both professions, you need curiosity, you need to be a people's person, you need to want to learn about people, about cultures. You need to be interested in geopolitics, in politics, in cómo funciona el poder,
Mhm.
what is the relations between different elements inside the country or globally, internationally. So
So,
some things are different in that sense of wanting to learn and being drawn to these issues and topics. And some things are very different. For example, the journalist usually asks the questions and the diplomat usually gives the answers. So like we're doing right now.
yes.
So that's different and I'm really happy for that decision I took.
Yes, but before Mexico, where did you were based?
I was based in Mumbai, India for 2 years
Yeah.
before Mexico. Yeah, that
And
was amazing as well.
well, Mumbai it is an interesting country and about make the international relations between Israel and Mumbai. I think it was like a tough or it was easy.
Well, the relations between Israel and India are very good and very strong. So we are working when we have very good connections. So we are working more on how to make these diplomatic ties stronger, how to make new connections. It's really interesting and it was a good posting for me.
Dalia, and how does the diplomatic relations start between Israel and Mexico? Because this year we're celebrating 77 years of diplomatic relation. But how does it start?
We're celebrating this year. Let me get, so I prepared the information, so
It
we will
is
have
77 years.
the right data. It's 77 years for the country of Israel
Uh-huh.
since 90
Ah,
for
yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
since 1948 when
Yeah.
Israel started after the British Mandate. And the relations between Israel and the diplomatic relations between Israel and Mexico started in 1952.
Ah, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I was close because I remember that was Mexico was from the first countries that support Israel and recognize it as a country. That's why I was
Very
like
true.
the 77 years. But who gave the first step? I mean, which embassy opened first? In Mexico when Tel Aviv, which opened first, and what was the issue that both countries want to solve?
Well, there are many things to work on together. Well, um I think I will have to double check that, but as for my knowledge, the Mexican embassy in Israel opened at 1956,
Mhm.
and the embassy of of Israel in Mexico started in 1953. So around the same time, Israeli embassy was before the Mexican embassy.
Mhm.
And ever since, so it's really a long, fruitful, friendly relations. We had visitors coming, high profile visits from Mexico in Israel and from Israel in Mexico. Our prime minister was here in 1917, and we had a ministerial visit in 1923. So it is an important country to Israel, and Israel is important to Mexico. Israel is a very strong ally of Mexico in the Middle East and a very strong portal for trade in the Middle East. And I know you will speak later with our trade attaché, and she will give you more information. But the trade is really blooming between Israel and Mexico. But she will speak more about that. I can say
Uh-huh.
that the common issues that Israel and Mexico share at the moment, at the past few years, of course, I would say global warming is a great concern for the entire world, but both Israel and Mexico are very are countries which deal with water scarcity.
Yeah.
And water is so important. And I know you are over there in the north. I'm here in Mexico City. But in both these places and many other places in Mexico, water scarcity is a very difficult issue. And in Israel as well. Israel is half desert.
Yes.
And from the beginning, Israel worked on how to handle and how to solve the problem of water scarcity. And we are now the leading country in the world in this topic, which has become a very important topic for many countries, including countries who didn't have this problem ever before, but because of climate change, it's now a concern for many countries in the world, and Mexico included.
Yes.
And Israel is sharing the knowledge and the technology to help Mexico deal and improve the water management in order to allow the people of Mexico to have all the water they need for of course for drinking, for showering, for cooking, for agriculture, super important. So this is a very important topic that we're working on. And then I will give you another example, which is much smaller, but it's also important to mention. This year, the Israeli embassy, we chose our flag project to be on the topic of gender violence and fighting and eliminating murder of women.
Okay.
So we are doing things about that because, again, this is unfortunately a global concern, a global problem, and in Mexico as well, as part of other forms of violence that Mexico is fighting. And in Israel also, unfortunately, this problem is very present. And we are sharing knowledge, we are sharing ideas, we are sharing experience on this topic. So we will have here later this month a very interesting visit of an NGO who is working on that. And there are many NGOs working on that and doing very important work.
Mhm.
But the unique perspective of this NGO is that they are working on finding innovative solutions to this problem of gender violence. There are solutions that everyone is using for decades, like shelters and restraining orders, and those are very important and they save lives, but they have been there for many, many years. And the founder of this NGO says, how come we are the startup nation, and as startup nation we have to come up with new ideas, sometimes ideas which involve technology, and sometimes ideas which are just kind of new and outside the box, excuse the cliche. So, for example, they have a very interesting project with dogs
Okay.
who are protecting women at risk. So it's not about technology, but it is about a new way of thinking that allows the women and children to stay where they are. They don't have to go to a shelter. They stay where they are and they have this protection. And there are other very interesting projects, and we will have her here later this month to meet with people in the Senate, in the Congress, with NGOs in Mexico who do fantastic work, and we're gonna exchange ideas. So social,
Okay.
and maybe last thing I will say in the topic of collaboration between Israel and Mexico, I would say the collaboration is about really being excel in new technologies and the new things that are happening in our lives. AI is a new phenomena that we are all now using, but
Uh-huh.
also learning how to regulate what regulations we need for AI. And we recently participated, our deputy ambassador participated in a very interesting panel, which was here in Mexico City in April, and sharing the knowledge and the ideas that Israel have with Mexico, who also is now working on innovation and that includes, of course, AI.
Yes. I want to go a little bit back about the water. Do
Sure.
you think, or can you please tell us to the public, to the audience, it is the correct word to refer to the Israel people is Israeli or Jewish people in this case as a country?
Can you repeat your question?
Can we refer as Israeli people or as Jewish people in this interview? How it's better because some
Well,
people are like
Israel is the state of Israel
the
is the
citizens.
homeland of the Israeli people. We have
Exactly.
in Israel Jews, we have Muslims, we have Christians.
Yes, and that's the question because do you think, or as a diplomacy, I don't know if you have to separate because of the strong connection between in this case, the Torah and the connection with the promise that as you as Jewish, in this case as Jewish, if you can correct me, um, it is a miracle that Israel it's producing water and helping to produce water to other countries in the middle of the desert. So different to the other countries that you are about 9 million people, a little bit of state. And how do you feel it is something just about technology or as the knowledge, or do you feel that it's really something that it's provide from heaven, from the divine? I don't know. Can you tell us?
I think, first of all, yeah, I agree with you. It's really amazing. It's really amazing to be a country located in the Middle East in a very dry, semi-arid area and be able to have agriculture and industry and to support a day-to-day life with all the water we need. It took a lot of work, so maybe it's a miracle, but it also took a lot of work. These things can happen together.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work, a lot of um, first of all, it was a goal. It was
Okay.
the goal from when Israel was started. One of the things which were very clear to the founders of the country is that every person in every part, no matter how far in the country, should have access to fresh water.
Yes.
And that those were the 40s. So it's quite an interesting idea not to be taken easily.
Yes.
And then a lot of work was made in creating and thinking what can be the way to do that, to achieve this goal. And there are many things that help us develop technologies for water management as well as for other purposes. I would say the education in Israel, we are lucky to have very good education system, very good schools and universities. People are genuinely interested in technology and in developing new ideas. And we don't have anything else. There are no natural resources. There are no, other advantages. All we have is the people.
Yes.
All we have is the people and and what the people can come up with.
You have the people, but you are really a big family. That each Jewish is every Israel support each other. It is like something that distinguish the state.
Well, thank you for that observation. We recently got a very painful reminder for that trait of being like a big family or being a society where we really care about each other. Is we got this reminder at after October 7 in many ways. There were Muslim secuestrados,
Mhm.
hostages, and Israeli soldiers of Jewish religion, whatever religion, gave their life actually, or risked their life to save these hostages. Some of them, as I said, were Jewish, some of them were Muslim. Um, it really doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And after so many people had to leave their homes, we have so many people. It's hard to understand, but there are people who were not able to go back to their homes for almost 2 years. So
But
we have
uh,
refugees inside Israel, and and many people are helping. Many people are started these big kitchens, or they host people at their homes.
okay.
So yes, I agree that we have a very strong sense of
Unity, family,
yeah,
of
caring for each other.
caring.
True. Yeah.
Are still people, Israeli people living in hotels at this time?
Yes. Yes, unfortunately, there still are because, and that's another thing that people don't realize. After all this time of war with Hamas and the terror organizations in Gaza, they still shoot rockets at civil population.
Mhm.
They still do that all the time. And there are also rockets being shot from terror organizations in Yemen and in other places, far places in from Lebanon and from the northern border. So yes, it's hard to realize because we see the suffering at the Palestinian side and whatever, and that is very sad as well. But people are not aware that inside Israel, the missiles are being shot very frequently, and of course, normal life are disrupted so much by these aggressive actions.
And you, as a diplomat, how do you feel, or what do you want to say to the Mexican people or the Latin American people that are watching the interview that can understand that Israel it is surrounded of enemies and they are defending, but also about about the Gaza, the Gaza Strip in this moment, all the people that are also suffering, and still why people get angry with Israel, even that Hamas are using shelters from the Gaza Strip, and maybe not. We saw it last year with Egypt, that they were like, okay, come on, all the refugees, you can in these hours are can come to our country, but then the Hamas were like, no, you shouldn't leave this territory because it is yours, etc. How can you, as a diplomacy, and all the diplomats around that supports Israel, of course, can change or tell the information to people that Israel is defending themselves?
Thank you so much for this question, and I would really like to address our friends in Mexico and in Latin America. And I think people in Mexico, if I can say in as a generalization, are people who want peace. I really think the Mexicans are people who want peace in their own country and also in the world. And what they would need to do really is support. There is this big trendy hashtag Free Palestine.
Yes.
Whoever wants to free Palestine need to understand that the way to free Palestine is to remove this terrible terror organization who terrorize their own people first and foremost. Terrorize their own people, they must be removed. And I would say for two reasons. There are many reasons, but this is a short interview. I would mention two reasons. Hamas, when we say that Hamas terrorized their own people, it's really hard for people in Mexico and in Latin America to understand. But we just saw yesterday under a hospital, the European hospital in Gaza, a headquarters, a fully equipped terror headquarters, which was dug in tunnels under this hospital with so much ammunition, weapon, and whatever you need to take out terror acts. And I don't think I need to understand that this is on the contrary of the interest of the Palestinian people. Even before October 7th, 2023, the health system in Gaza was terrible. The drinking water were so bad, Israel was providing drinking water to Gaza because the regime in Gaza had zero interest in the people in Gaza and allowing them to have good health or decent health system, decent drinking water, decent education. They relied on aid, on international aid, and whatever they could use to construct a terror infrastructure, they took from their people. And they are still doing that today. The many countries want to see humanitarian aid delivered to Gaza because after these long years of Hamas regime, the people in Gaza need external aid. They have nothing. So, but what they don't know is that the Hamas is using that, is robbing that aid, and instead of delivering it to the people in Gaza, they are now selling it in high prices. So whoever can pay get impoverished by these prices. Whoever cannot pay doesn't have anything, and Hamas takes the money to make and to create more and more terror infrastructure. They are now recruiting 14 years old boys to be terrorists. So that's the first reason, really. Whoever is concerned about free Palestine and about the well-being of the Palestinians should call for the removal of this terrible government. You know, you're a woman, I'm a woman. Women in Gaza cannot leave their house by themselves.
Mhm.
It's terrible. It's hard for us, you know, as an Israeli and as a Mexican to even imagine. But that is the reality. And I'm sure that the people who care for the welfare of the people in Gaza also care for the welfare of women and the elderly and the young people in Gaza. And they want for them different future, not a future of hate and suffer and misery. And the second thing I would say is about Israel. Hamas, to this day, more than a year and a half after October 7, is saying repeatedly that their goal is the destruction of the Jewish state, the only one Jewish state. Their goal is the destruction of this state. And it's not a theoretical goal. As I said, they are shooting rockets whenever they can, and they are preparing to carry out terror acts whenever they can. And Israel is really small. It's hard for people who live in this big country like Mexico to understand. But Israel is about the size of Hidalgo. So if you have this enemy lurking at your borders, and shooting rockets and saying that at the first chance it gets, it will butcher again, like in this cruel, barbaric manner that it did on October 7, this is something that is a real danger that the government of Israel cannot accept and must protect its people, and it is our right to protect our people. I have family living in these peaceful villages at the south, which are really close to the Gaza Strip. And they are doing their thing there. They work in agriculture, my family.
Okay.
They cannot go back there and grow their jitomates peacefully if they know that in so close to them, in minutes away, lurking these terrible terrorists.
So they are not working at this moment in their agriculture.
Unfortunately
Okay.
not. Unfortunately, they had to move, and they were still not able to go back to their houses. This is a house that I visited so many times because they are my relatives. So I understand that seeing these terrible pictures coming out of Gaza of all this misery and suffering are heartbreaking.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to see these pictures. Nobody. Some of them are fake, by the way. Some of them were taken in Syria some years ago, whatever. But let's say most of them are authentic. If you don't want to see this, you have to really free Palestine, but free Palestine from Hamas.
Yeah. And the difference that we can see is that how Israel has prospered along these long 70 years, and how Gaza Strip is still living in poverty, as you were saying, that has no potable water, not even the food. It is a sad, really sad things, because there are people, there are humans that are suffering, and they have, I don't know how if to say in a polite way, but they're brainwashed as they are the ones, the victims, and all, and that the people of Israel wants to make them feel, wants to hurt them. But you were saying something before about the shelter and about Mexico, about Mexico and Israel, and about the violence and making some shelters and sharing how in the violence. I want to make a question about the ambassador Andres Remer. What is happening? What is the situation with him? Because some people have said that it's just a political thing. Some people says that it is true. The accusations that he has against, well, that are against him. In this moment, what is happening? And what is the position of the government of Israel in Mexico about him?
So it's not anything to do with the government of Israel or the embassy of Israel. It's a very professional process that has been going on with collaboration of the Fiscalía in Mexico and courts in Israel. Israel doesn't have an agreement with Mexico, but as Israel is a law-abiding country and interested in promoting law and getting people who committed crimes to get their penalty. So even that there is no agreement, Israel is working closely in close collaboration with Mexico on this topic. And it's a very long process. It has nothing to do with politics. It's a process of the court in Israel to look at the material that it got, to understand the crimes, to understand the accusations, and then, of course, like any other person, Mr. Romer has the right to defend himself, and he does that as well, with legal aid, like any other person. And then the court has to decide. So this is a long process, and it's been going on in full collaboration with Mexico. And the process now is the court in Israel stated some, I think, 2 months back, stated that it is possible to send Romer to stand for trial here in Mexico.
Yes.
And he still has his option, as I said, like anyone else, including here in Mexico, to defend himself. So he still has the option to appeal, and he has the option, if the Minister of Justice will decide to sign this this procedure to allow him to be expedited, he can defend himself and appeal to the minister with whatever claims he has. So I don't know if he will do that, but he has that option. So what I'm saying is that he still has options to defend himself, and the court in Israel has the option to object, and that might still take time, but it's just a judicial process and no politic is involved. The policy of Israel is to have people who committed crime, if that is the case, that is still yet to be seen, but to have them stand for trial.
Yes, because it is a very mediatic case, and also it was a big surprise for many of us because you saw him on TV, on other big events in propaganda as an ambassador.
Yeah.
Well, things happen. But also, Dalia, just to close this interesting conversation, I would like to have other one soon. But what can you say to the people who are planning or would like to go to Israel, but also feels like, oh, okay, maybe it's not the time to go, but also Israel is saying, come people, we are safe, no matter what is happening, our army is strong, we are prepared. What can you say to the people that wants to travel this year to Israel?
Well, Israel welcomes friends and tourists from all around the world. We were lucky recently to have many Mexican journalists going to Israel and reporting from there, and they all said when we met them after they came back that they were surprised to see how, in spite of everything that is going on, life is quite normal and they could enjoy the beautiful sights and they could enjoy the people and the beautiful cities and culture and food, and everything goes on almost as almost normal. However, if people are have their doubts, that's understandable, that's fair enough. And I don't want, to tell people, no, you have to come now or whatever.
Everything what happens in Israel moves all the Middle East, and not the Middle East, moves America, Europe, and that's amazing. That's why some people says what covers or what supports Israel. And as some Jewish people said, Jewish as a religion, right?
Yes, of
Is
course.
that we are blessed by God. And when you see all the things that are happening, the only thing that you can say is it's something supernatural. Supernatural, I mean.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. Well, if that, many people think sometimes um, the Jews are defined in the Bible as the selected people, and some people think
Yeah.
that that's condescending or racist. But it's actually a liability. It's actually a burden. It's actually responsibility to do things right.
Yeah.
And if that means water and sharing knowledge that we have, that's wonderful, or whatever that means.
Yes. I'm so grateful to have the interview with you, Dahlia Neumann, that we were talking at the end, at the first of at the beginning, I mean, from the conversation, that you start as a journalist in media, you were, and how you stepped to the international relations area as a diplomat. And I'm so glad for this interview. I have more questions that hopefully soon we can keep in touch. And I'm gonna make some questions to the audience to let you know. And
Okay.
I don't know, I will hopefully this year or next year I can go to Israel and see all the wonders that people that
Ojalá.
have been visiting has telling me that they feel a grateful peace. I don't know how, because they say they are Armenians, Catholics, Christian, and Jews, but it is a special peace that you feel when you are there. Even though about all we were talking about the enemies, sadly, that Israel is around.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
around.
I want to mention that we also have two peace agreements that
Mhm.
are very important to us as well, with Egypt and with Jordan
Yeah.
and with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, and these are very important to us. And ojalá we will see more agreements and more peace
And
in our
soon with
in our
and
area.
and soon with Qatar, or what is happening with Qatar? Is it
Qatar is mediating
is
with regarding to the agreements of the returning of the hostages. We still have
okay.
55 people hostages in Gaza, and it's terrible. So Qatar is mediating on that.
Okay. Thank you, Dahlia Newman. Something that you want to add to this conversation?
Solo agradezco mucho, agradecerte,
Mhm.
no, oh.
It's okay. Agradecer. To be thankful.
por esta entrevista tan importante y tan interesante. Y ojalá que tenemos paz en Israel y en todo el mundo pronto.
Eso. And how can I say in muchas gracias, Iris, toda Rabalev?
Sí, muy bien.
Okay. I have a good pronunciation in languages. I'm gonna just take a picture about the interview, but I'm so happy to have been to talk with you, Dalia.
Thank you so much.
And as
Thank you.
Israel people say, shalom, shalom for the beginning, and shalom is okay, or double shalom, shalom.
No, shalom is a wonderful word because it means hello, como hola,
La paz de the peace
pero
with you,
también
right?
significa paz. Sí, también significa paz. Es algo tan importante que tenemos that we greet each other with peace every time we see each other. So that's how important this is.
Okay. I feel so happy with the interview, and thank you, Dalia, and thank you with the
Muchas
people
gracias.
that made possible the interview. So hopefully see you soon in Mexico City.
Muchas gracias.
Thank
Hasta
you. Bye
luego.
bye,
Hasta la
Dalia.
próxima.
Thank you. Yes, of course. Hasta la próxima. Nos vemos. Gracias, amigos de Lights Magazine, y continuamos con más. Bye bye.